Hi everybody, this is Cheryl and this is my channel Tranquil Stitches. I wanted to hop on and do a quick video and a floss toss for the Halloween March chart that I got today for our stitch along from Rachelle at the Cottage Needle. She has been feverishly filling orders and I know they are starting to arrive. Several of my friends have told me they've received their charts, so that's very exciting. And I wanted to just hop on and do this because I have been playing around with some threads and doing some color comparisons and seeing what I can come up with for what I plan to do with this chart. Now, there are 31 DMC colors in this chart. There is a lot of shading, which is okay. It's very detailed. It's a very detailed chart and I like the shading. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute some fancy flosses in for some outfits and the border to cut down on a little bit of that confetti, because I'm not really a confetti girl. So I'd rather use variegated flosses, and that's what I plan to do. So I wanted to show you what I've come up with and give you a little information so that maybe you can glean something from it that you can use when you're getting ready to start your chart. Now, this is the called for fabric. This is 32 count tin roof. Now, the called for fabric is 35 count. So you know the fabric dyes differently when you do different counts. So I'm not really sure what the called for fabric calls for, but it is a full coverage piece, so you really don't see the fabric. But I love this tin roof, I do, but I found this copper penny in my stash. There is no dyer's name on the tag, so I'm not really sure what fabric this is, but it just says 32 count copper penny hand-dyed linen. And I got this at House Tyrol in Williamsburg. And I've had this fabric for a long time, but I really, really love it. It's just got that right amount of modeling in it. Now, the reason they're very similar in color, but the reason I chose the copper penny is this has more brown. And what I plan to do is leave off the black background. I may change my mind when I get everything stitched to see how it looks, but I don't think I'm going to do the black. I think I'm just going to stitch the characters in the border and then the stars and the All Hallows Eve. So if I do that, the fabric is going to show through, and I like the brownish color better than the grayish color. So that's my choice for fabric. It is 32 count. Now for flosses, what I did, this is the 31 colors that are in this chart. All the DMC colors. And then there is the Weeks Dye Works Onyx. That's the black. Now the black is also used in his outfit, the noses, the mouths, the mouths on the pumpkins, the eyes on the pumpkins, so that Weeks is used in other places other than just the border. But let me show you what I've come up with and maybe give you some ideas. Now, some of these flosses that I'm using have been in my stash for years and years, and you aren't able to get them anymore, but at least it will give you an idea of what you can look for if you want to go do a floss toss, or if you have, look in your stash and see what you have. Now, these are the greens that are in this chart. And this little watermelon guy here, and the stars, this little piece of his pumpkin outfit, his cape and hat, his little collar and shoes, and then the green around the border. That's all these greens. So what I have chosen to replace that is this Weeks Dye Works Lucky. It, to me, has all of the colors and it hits all the marks. So I really like that color. I do have 2 skeins of it, so I should have enough to do that. But I do like that it has just a mixture of all the colors in it. So I think that's going to work just fine, and it looks really pretty on the fabric as well. Now for his head and his head, these 2 pumpkin heads here, they are more peachy than orange. They've got a peach, and I can understand that they're actually heads. So for those, I went with gassed caramel. It's got the orange, but it also has some peach going through it. So I think that's going to look really pretty for these two heads. Now I might use that for here as well. I haven't decided whether to use the orange, the same orange that I'm using in the border for this, or the peach. So I'll just make that decision on the fly when I get there. So that's what we're doing for him, plus the black. So that's Watermelon Guy. Now for the cat is a little lighter than the rabbit. He's got some tans and just light browns in him. So what I chose to do for him is gassed caramel corn. So it has browns, and it has the lighter browns and just a little bit of a darker brown. So I think that would be good for him. So that's what I'm using for his body. And then for his little pumpkin, this is one of the flosses that I have that were from my stash from the early 2000s. This is a CPR, Cindy's Prismatic Reflections floss that was dyed by my friend Cindy back in the early 2000s, and she actually hand dyed this for our Tranquil Stitches board. I have some of this. She did several Tranquil Stitches colors for our message board that we were all a member of, which is very special. These flosses are very special to me, and I'm excited to be able to use this in such a wonderful chart. So this is this beautiful orange, and I think it would be perfect for his little outfit. It's slightly variegated, but it does have enough variegation to be pumpkin-y. So I do like that. And then I'll use the green for his little collar, and then I'm going to use the 844 DMC for his little bucket. So that's the cat. Now the rabbit is a little darker than the cat, and I'm going to darken him up a little bit more, I think. I went with this very pretty Carrie's Creations, and this is also no longer available. She no longer dyes flosses, but at least you'll get an idea. For his body, I'm going with this. It's called Koala Claw, and if you'll notice, it goes from dark brown, and it's got just a shade lighter brown in it, but it is variegated, so I think that's going to be perfectly fine for that bunny rabbit. And I'm anxious to see how that turns out. Now for his tail, I will use, it's probably one of these colors, so I will use the DMC for his little tail. And then I'll also use the green for his hat and his cape. This guy, I love the confetti in his outfit, so I'm keeping that. I'm going to do the green and orange confetti, and there's black in there as well, for his little outfit. So what I found is another Carrie's Creation called Toasted Marshmallow. And this is a peachy brown, variegated, very nicely variegated, and it's going to go really well with the rabbit color that I have next to him. And it also plays well with the caramel corn for the cat. So the Toasted Marshmallow, and then I will put the confetti in. I'll use the green for his collar and his little shoes. This for his head. This gassed caramel corn, or caramel, and then the black onyx for his face. Now, I love this Toasted Marshmallow. What I plan to do, I've got 2 skeins of that. I'm going to use that for the background of the pumpkins as well. I'm going to use the Toasted Marshmallow as the background, and if you'll notice, it's very similar in color to his outfit anyway. Now I will be pulling the colors for the flourishes. I like the flourishes, and I may even use this for the flourishes. That's probably what I'll do. But what I'm planning to do is I'm still going to put those in there, and there are some little stars in here in a darker orange. This one's still up in the air. This is Pumpkin Patch. This is also a Cindy's Prismatic Reflections, and this one I'm still on the fence about, but it's very pretty. See how these pumpkins are both light and dark orange? I think this one has a wonderful variegation, and I think I'll get a lot of different pumpkins if I use this floss. And it's a little brighter, and I think it will pull out the other oranges in the design very well. like I said, I'm not really sure. I also have a hank of CPR that she did, that she sent me in this. Now this, I think, maybe would look pretty for the little darker stars around there, and it may actually work for the flourishes as well. I don't know. The jury's still out on that, but I don't want to go too dark. Now there is a pretty good, see, dark orange in there for the shading, so I think that might work. This one is maybe a little too bright, but I don't know. We shall see. But that's some ideas for you. Like I said, you can just dissect the chart, take each little part, and decide what you want to do for your colors. And it's not really that hard to figure out, and the end result will be beautiful, because these colors are absolutely beautiful. Now, when you opened your chart, your jaw probably hit the floor, as mine did. What my plan to tackle that monster is, I'm going to blow it up, and I'm going to make several working copies. What I plan to do is take a highlighter, and I'm going to highlight each one of the pumpkins on the chart and each one of the flourishes so that I can find them easily. I'm going to stitch on the highlighted parts. I'm going to stitch the pumpkins and the flourishes first, and the little stars, and then I'm going to go back and fill in the background. So you have to isolate the parts that you're going to stitch those, and then fill in. At least that's what I plan to do with that border. I will be doing the same thing with their bodies, and then I'll do another working copy and highlight his cape and his hat and his little collar, his little pumpkin outfit. I'm going to be making lots of working copies for this chart so that I can separate, and I'll see better what I'm doing. So I would highly suggest that you make working copies and you get highlighters, and it's a lot easier to keep your place that way, especially on a chart like this. So there you go. I'm anxious to get started on the 12th. I hope everyone is having a lot of fun thinking about colors, thinking about fabrics for this one. And I have a surprise for you in my floss tube that I plan to upload on Sunday. I have a surprise. So until then, happy stitching and have a good evening.